Good afternoon, ladies. On behalf of Major General Michael C. McCurry, Commanding General, United States Army Aviation Center of Excellence, in Fort Novosel, welcome to the quarterly retirement ceremony. We are gathered today to honor those individuals and families who have earned special recognition and served our country with distinction. It is our privilege to welcome our retirees and their families who are being honored today, and all those who are joining us through social media. Please rise for the invocation given by Chaplain Scott G. Kennis, Garrison Chaplain, and remain standing for the national anthem performed by Sergeant Tyler Cutts, Maneuver Center of Excellence Band, Fort Moore, Georgia.
Let us pray. God, it is fitting that we invoke your presence at the beginning of this ceremony in a week our nation has designated as a time of prayer. For it is your kind providence that has ushered these retirees through wars and service to this culminating event today. Lord, we thank you for their selfless service to our country and for their dedication and untiring devotion to duty. Each of us here today owe a debt of gratitude to these individuals and their families for their service and contribution to the freedom we experience here today. God, I pray that you will grant them a full life, sharing the fruits of their labor with their families and others. May today be a sweet celebration of accomplishment and reward for their defense of our great nation. To God alone be the glory. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce our host for today's ceremony, Colonel John P. Miller III, Commander, United States Army Garrison, Fort Novosel, Alabama.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, friends, and family. Welcome to today's retirement ceremony. I appreciate the opportunity to join you as together we celebrate the commitment to service epitomized by each of our distinguished retirees. First and foremost, I want to thank the families and loved ones of our soldiers. In 2011, then Chief of Staff of the Army, General Raymond Odierno, said, "The strength of our Army is our soldiers, and the strength of our soldiers is our families." Perhaps not knowing what they had signed up for, and often not knowing where the military life would take them, spouses, partners, children, parents, and others supported their soldiers, sacrificed alongside them, and made this nation stronger. So to the families, let me start by saying thank you. Let's give our families a round of applause. Today's ceremony is as much for you as it is for your soldiers. Retirement is the time you look back at everything you have accomplished during your career and the legacy you leave behind. In the tapestry of life, we weave intricate threads that shape our legacy. A legacy is not merely a tangible inheritance, it is an echo of our actions, the imprint we leave upon the world. It is a story whispered through generations, a testament to the choices we make and the lives we touch. Creating a legacy is not a task reserved for the grand or the famous. It is an invitation extended to each of us, regardless of our circumstances or station in life. It is the conscious decision to live a life that matters, a life that leaves a positive mark on the world. Every day, you had the opportunity to contribute to your legacy. No matter how small the act may have seemed, it was the kind word you spoke to a stranger, the helping hand you extend to a neighbor, or the passion you pursued with an unwavering determination. These seemingly insignificant actions, when woven together, create a powerful tapestry that defines who you are and the impact you leave on the world. The legacy you leave behind is not measured by material wealth or social status. True legacy is found in the hearts and minds of those you have touched. It is the love you have shared, the compassion you have shown, and the difference you have made in the lives of others. As we navigate the complexities of life, it is easy to get caught up in pursuit of immediate gratification or short-term gains. However, it is when we lift our gaze beyond the present moment and consider the long-term impact of our actions that we truly begin to create a meaningful legacy. The legacy you leave behind is not simply the sum of your achievements or possessions. It is the sum total of the lives you have touched and the values you have lived by. It is the ripple effect you created, spreading kindness, inspiration, and hope throughout the world. Creating a legacy is not a destination, but a journey, a continuous process of self-reflection, growth, and contribution. It requires us to examine our values, align our actions with our beliefs, and live each day with intention and purpose. As you embark on the new journey that retirement brings you, be mindful of the footprints you leave behind. You leave a legacy that is worthy of our deepest aspirations, a legacy that will inspire generations to come and will inspire generations to come to live lives of meaning, purpose, and compassion. The soldiers who will soon stand before you as their retirement orders are read leave a legacy of lives saved, accidents prevented, and sacred trust with the ground force preserved. In the words of the poet Maya Angelou, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. To the soldiers and families who now assume the watch, let us learn from the distinguished careers of today's honorees and make it our mission to create a legacy that is remembered not for its grandeur, but for its authenticity, its impact, and the profound emotions it evokes in the hearts of those who knew us. For in the end, it is not the things we own or the accolades we receive that define our legacy. It is the love we have given, the lives we have touched, and the difference we have made in the fabric of humanity. Congratulations on your retirement. Be proud of the legacy you have created and will continue to create as you open the first page of the new chapter you begin today. I look forward to seeing where this journey will lead you. I'm certain it will be filled with amazing opportunities, great stories, and a well-deserved rest. Above the best, fly Army, this will defend.
Colonel Miller will now present the awards. He will be assisted by Garrison Command Sergeant Major Gary J. Williams. Retirees will receive their retirement award, a certificate of retirement, and an American flag. Retirees will also receive a certificate of appreciation for their military service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America, signed by the Commander-in-Chief, President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. Spouses will receive a certificate of appreciation and a rose. Roses are provided by the Wiregrass Area Sergeants Major Association. Please feel free to take pictures at any time during the ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Lucas Bandy and Mrs. Brittany Bandy. Captain Lucas Bandy entered military service on 9 July 2002 in Fort Moore, Georgia, as a medic, graduating basic training followed by AIT at Fort Sam Houston, Texas. He was commissioned through Green to Gold in 2015 after graduating from Austin Peay State University. During his 22 years of military service, he served in numerous locations, including Fort Stewart, Georgia, Fort Novosel, Alabama, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Fort Moore, Georgia, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, and overseas locations in Germany and Iraq. He has served multiple combat tours in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. His various leadership positions include squad leader, platoon sergeant, platoon leader, company executive officer, battalion S2, JICE chief, and detachment commander. Captain Bandy stated the highlight of his career was the 5 years he served as a flight medic, evacuating hundreds of U.S. service members in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. He is married to the former Brittany Blake of Concord, North Carolina. They have 3 children, Garrett, Tyler, and Avery. Upon retirement, they plan to reside in Navarre, Florida. By direction of the President of the United States, Captain Bandy is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal in recognition of 22 years of outstanding military service, culminating as the Military Intelligence Detachment Commander for 4th Battalion, 7th Special Forces Group, Camp Bull Simons, Florida. Mrs. Bandy is receiving a certificate of appreciation signed by the Army Chief of Staff and a rose. Will the family and invited guests of the Bandy family please come forward? Yep, come on up. Captain Lucas Bandy. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 5, Anthony Kinney, and Mrs. Melissa Kinney. Chief Warrant Officer 5, Anthony Kinney, entered military service on 30 January 1996 as a 92 Alpha Automated Logistics Specialist. In 2000, he was commissioned as an infantry officer. In September 2005, he accepted an appointment as a warrant officer and attended flight training. During his 28 years of military service, he has served in various locations, including Fort Moore, Georgia, Fort Riley, Kansas, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Fort Novosel, Alabama, and overseas locations in Korea. In addition, he served multiple combat tours in support of Operations Iraqi and Enduring Freedom and Inherent Resolve. Mr. Kinney has served as an AH-64 Delta and Echo pilot in command, maintenance test pilot, and maintenance examiner, instructor pilot, and standardization instructor pilot. He stated the highlight of his career was being an instructor assigned to the Directorate of Evaluation and Standardization here at Fort Novosel. He is married to the former Melissa Platt of Arkansas City, Kansas. They have 2 children, Nathan and Lauren. Upon retirement, they plan to reside in Enterprise, Alabama. By direction of the President of the United States, Chief Warrant Officer 5, Anthony Kinney, is receiving the Legion of Merit in recognition of 28 years of outstanding military service, culminating as the Directorate Maintenance Examiner, Directorate of Evaluation and Standardization, Fort Novosel, Alabama. Mrs. Kinney is receiving a certificate of appreciation signed by the Army Chief of Staff and a rose. Will the family and invited guests of the Kinney family please come forward? Chief Warrant Officer 5, Anthony Kinney. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 5, Joshua Locke, and Mrs. Kimberly Locke. Chief Warrant Officer 5 Locke entered military service on 20 November 2001. After completing basic training and Warrant Officer Candidate School, he continued to attend Army Warrant Officer flight training. During his 22 years of military service, he has served in various locations, including Fort Riley, Kansas, Fort Drum, New York, Fort Novosel, Alabama, and overseas in Germany. In addition, he served multiple combat tours in support of operations Iraqi and Enduring Freedom. Mr. Locke has served as a CH-47 Delta and Fox pilot and standardization instructor. He stated the highlight of his career was the opportunity to represent the CH-47 user community as part of the Capability Development and Integration Directorate. He is married to the former Kimberly Dawn Kennedy of Bonifay, Florida. They have 2 children and 1 grandchild. Upon retirement, they plan to reside in Enterprise, Alabama. By direction of the President of the United States, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Locke is receiving the Legion of Merit in recognition of 22 years of outstanding military service, culminating as the Army Capability Manager for Lift Cargo Division Chief, Aviation Capability Development and Integration Directorate, Fort Novosel, Alabama. Mrs. Locke is receiving a certificate of appreciation signed by the Army Chief of Staff and a rose. Will the family and invited guests of the Locke family please come forward? Chief Warrant Officer 5, Joshua Locke. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 4, Stephen Badgley, and Mrs. Amanda Badgley. Chief Warrant Officer 4 Badgley entered military service on 16 April 2002 as a 13 Delta, Field Artillery Fire Direction Controller. In 2005, he applied for and was selected to attend Army Warrant Officer flight training. During his 22 years of military service, he has served in various locations, including Fort Carson, Colorado, Fort Drum, New York, Fort Novosel, Alabama, and Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. In addition, he served multiple combat tours in support of Operations Iraqi and Enduring Freedom. Mr. Badgley has served as an artilleryman, an Army boxer, an OH-58 pilot in command, instructor pilot, aviation safety officer, and aviation master gunner. In 2014, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Badgley transitioned to the Unmanned Aircraft Systems branch, where he served as a squadron and brigade UAS operations officer, and as an aviation and UAS observer, coach, and trainer for the Mission Command Training Program, where he supported brigade, division, and corps staffs worldwide. He stated the highlight of his career was consistently being able to support the ground force through a variety of different means and throughout all echelons of command. He is married to the former Amanda Gross of Colorado Springs, Colorado. They have 3 children, Mason, Cameron, and Miles. Upon retirement, they plan to reside in Huntsville, Alabama. By direction of the President of the United States, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Stephen Badgley is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal in recognition of 22 years of outstanding military service, culminating as the UAS Branch Chief for the Directorate of Evaluation and Standardization, Fort Novosel, Alabama. Mrs. Badgley is receiving a certificate of appreciation signed by the Army Chief of Staff and a rose. Will the family and invited guest of the Badgley family please come forward? Chief Warrant Officer 4 Stephen Badgley. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Jason Burke and Mrs. Paulette Burke. Chief Warrant Officer 4 Jason Burke entered military service on 24 May 1995 as a 68 Delta aircraft powertrain repairer. In 2003, he applied for and was selected to attend Army Warrant Officer flight training. During his almost 29 years of military service, he has served in various locations, including Fort Eustis, Virginia, Fort Cavazos, Texas, Fort Carson, Colorado, Fort Wainwright, Alaska, Fort Irwin, California, Fort Novosel, Alabama, and overseas locations in Germany, Bosnia, South Korea, and Pakistan. In addition, he served multiple combat tours in support of operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Mr. Burke has served as an aircraft powertrain repairer, UH-60 Alpha Lima pilot in command, UH-60 Alpha Lima maintenance test pilot, UH-72 Alpha Lakota pilot in command, UH-72 Alpha functional check pilot, aviation safety officer, and aviation and ground mishap investigator. He stated the highlight of his career was being an aviation and ground mishap investigator at the United States Combat Readiness Center and having lasting effects on aviation and ground safety throughout the Army. He is married to the former Paulette Vos of Clay, New York. They have 2 children, Regan and Piper. Upon retirement, they plan to reside in Port St. Lucie, Florida. By direction of the President of the United States, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Jason Burke is receiving the Legion of Merit Medal in recognition of 28 years of outstanding military service, culminating as an aviation and ground mishap investigator, United States Combat Readiness Center, Fort Novosel, Alabama. Mrs. Burke is receiving a certificate of appreciation signed by the Army Chief of Staff and a rose. Will the family and invited guests of the Burke family please come forward? Chief Warrant Officer 4 Jason Burke. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Heath Robinson and Mrs. Afton Robinson. Chief Warrant Officer 4 Robinson entered military service on 29 December 1999 as a 62 Juliet General Construction Equipment Operator in the Army Reserves. In 2002, he went on active duty as a 15 Delta aircraft power train repairer. In 2006, he applied for and was selected to attend Army Warrant Officer flight training. During his 24 years of military service, he has served in various locations, including Schofield Barracks, Hawaii, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Fort Novosel, Alabama, and overseas locations in Germany during Operation Atlantic Resolve and Pakistan during a humanitarian mission for earthquake relief in 2005. In addition, he served multiple combat tours in support of Operations Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. Mr. Robinson has served as an AH-64 Delta Echo pilot in command, Air Mission Commander, and Standardization Instructor Pilot. He stated the highlight of his career was being the Directorate of Evaluation and Standardization Attack Branch Chief here at Fort Novosel. He is married to the former Afton Brewer of Mooresburg, Tennessee. They have 3 children, Gavin, Seth, and Miles. Upon retirement, they plan to reside in New Brockton, Alabama. By direction of the President of the United States, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Robinson is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal in recognition of 24 years of outstanding military service, culminating as the Directorate of Evaluation and Standardization Attack Branch Chief, Fort Novosel, Alabama. Mrs. Robinson is receiving a certificate of appreciation signed by the Army Chief of Staff and a rose. Will the family and invited guest of the Robinson family please come forward? Chief Warrant Officer 4 Heath Robinson. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Robert Strite and Mrs. Ellen Strite. Chief Warrant Officer 4 Strite entered military service on 8 June 1998 as a 67 Tango Black Hawk mechanic. In 2005, he applied for and was selected to attend Army Warrant Officer flight training. During his 26 years of military service, he has served in various locations, including Fort Liberty, North Carolina, Fort Moore, Georgia, Fort Novosel, Alabama, and overseas locations in Korea, Honduras, Hawaii, Germany, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. In addition, he served multiple combat tours and part of Operations Iraqi and Enduring Freedom. Mr. Strite has served as a UH-60 Alpha Lima mechanic, crew chief and standardization instructor, UH-60 Alpha Lima and Mike pilot in command, maintenance test pilot, instructor pilot, standardization instructor pilot, and maintenance test pilot evaluator. He stated the most rewarding highlights of his career were being able to experience and work in multiple overseas assignments. He is married to the former Ellen Roberts of Silex, Missouri. They have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. Upon retirement, they plan to reside in Destin, Florida. By direction of the President of the United States, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Strite is receiving the Legion of Merit in recognition of 26 years of outstanding military service, culminating as an aviation maintenance advisor with the Office of Program Management, Saudi Arabian National Guard. Mrs. Strite is receiving a certificate of appreciation signed by the Army Chief of Staff in a rose. Will the family and invited guests of the Strite family please come forward? Chief Warrant Officer 4 Robert Strite. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 3 James Hawkins and Mrs. Justine Hawkins. Chief Warrant Officer 3 Hawkins entered the U.S. Army on 24 June 1998, assigned to Fort Liberty, North Carolina. During his nearly 25 years of military service, He has held 4 different MOS designations in both the Army and the Navy, including parachute rigger, X-ray technologist, hospital corpsman, and aviator. His duty locations include Fort Liberty, North Carolina, Fort Bliss, Texas, Fort Richardson, Alaska, Naval Hospital, Bremerton, Washington, Navy EOD School, Eglin Air Force Base, Florida, Naval Hospital, Pensacola, Florida, Fort Riley, Kansas, Sotocano Air Base, Honduras, and Fort Novosel, Alabama. His overseas locations include Germany, Afghanistan, Turkey, and Honduras. He has multiple tours in both services supporting Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Resolute Support, and Operation Inherent Resolve. Chief Warrant Officer 3 Hawkins is the recipient of multiple awards and decorations throughout a varied and storied career that has spanned close to 25 years, including the Combat Action Badge, Senior Aviator Wings, and Expert Field Medical Badge. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Radiological Science and Associate of Art in General Studies. He also completed the CP12 Professional Certificate in Safety and Occupational Health Program and holds numerous civilian safety and medical licenses. The highlight of his career were the real-world life-saving missions in Honduras and Guatemala after Hurricanes Eta and Iota devastated the region in 2020. He is married to the former Justine Johnson of Vineland, New Jersey, who is also a United States Air Force veteran. They have one son, JJ, of Winter Haven, Florida. Upon retirement, they plan to sail around the Caribbean. By direction of the President of the United States, Chief Warrant Officer 3 Hawkins is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal in recognition of 25 years of outstanding military service, culminating as a UH-60 pilot and Aviation Branch Safety Specialist in the Aviation Branch Safety Office, Fort Novosel, Alabama. Mrs. Hawkins is receiving a certificate of appreciation signed by the Army Chief of Staff and a rose. Will the family and invited guests of the Hawkins family please come forward? Chief Warrant Officer 3, James Hawkins. Will all the retirees please return to the front of the stage? Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. We will now pay tribute to the retirees with the playing of Old Soldiers Never Die and Auld Lang Syne.
Old soldiers never die, never die, never die. Old soldiers never die, they just fade away.
We proudly announce Captain Lucas Bandy, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Anthony Kinney, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Joshua Locke, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Stephen Badgley, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Jason Burke, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Heath Robinson, Chief Warrant Officer 4 Robert Straight, and Chief Warrant Officer 3 James Hawkins will be placed on the retired rolls of the United States Army by order of the United States Army Chief of Staff. Ladies and gentlemen, please join in singing Above the Best and the Army Song.
High above the best, high above the best. We are Army Aviation, USA, proud and strong. We meet the test. Skies filled with thunder, wearing silver wings upon her chest. We meet the needs of ground command as we aid the nation's quest. Army Aviation, flying high above the best. March along, sing your song with the army of the free. Proud and brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
This concludes today's ceremony. We thank you for your attendance. We also extend our greatest appreciation to Sergeant Tyler Cutts, Maneuver Center of Excellence Band, Fort Moore, Georgia, for his outstanding performance today. Please come forward and congratulate the retirees. Above the best, fly Army.